Ranked has had quite a lot of time to simmer, and I'm currently just outside the top 500, and after finding my groove again, I'm confident I'll be in top 100 again by end of season. What this all means is I finally feel confident to deliver you guys a definitive Celestian Guardians tier list, and with that 10,000 prize pool tournament coming up tomorrow, link in the description, I figured I'd provide insight for those feeling a little lost on what to lock in, and for those wanting to climb even further. So some ground rules before we begin. My focus is primarily on the ranked climb, but throughout it, I do provide a lot of tournament thoughts as well. At the end of the tier list, I provide some deck lists for the top decks, so stick around for that. And remember that this is a meta tier list for those that want to climb efficiently, so don't be surprised when I place Darktina extremely high and your favorite Scrimblow Bimblow EX decks is really low. And if you want to use Himbo Scrimbo to climb, by all means, don't let this video stop you. There is no prizes for doing good on ranked. Hit Master Ball with Wug Trio. I really don't care. So let's have the cards talk. Let's talk about all these tiers, okay? This is going to be YouTube content. It's kind of simple. Someone's in the comment section below are going to be like, well, how do I feel about XYZ? YouTube content. For Twitch, this is pay me to talk about them. S tier, this is like the easiest climb. Easiest decks to climb with. A are like top decks. Like generally little flaws. These are good. B is like good. Can streak. Will also lose 10 in a row. And C is like, I should mention them. But they're not YouTube content, right? They're not YouTube content, but like they're not like not YouTube content, right? So that's the best way to talk about this. All right. So Banette Mewtwo. This was great week 1. It's YouTube content now. Also, let me move my camera. Banette Mewtwo, good week 1, YouTube content now. Let me get my thoughts. Someone want to point to a deck? Okay, this is Crobat Darkrai. What is this? So it's Arceus Darkrai stuff with Elima. So this is just actually Dark Arceus. I think that this is like, it's like C to B. It's like C to B is where I'm at. Right? That's where I'm at. It's like C to B. Let me talk about it. I think the problem with this deck more so is it doesn't have the pop-off potential that the other versions of this deck have. I'll put C okay. So it's like, it's okay. I think this is okay. It doesn't have the pop-off potential that Carnivine, like, you know, Carnivine is literally Exodia. And I just think it's not as impressive. Yeah, you run Elimo, which is cute. You still have like the 170 pop-off potential with Darkrai plus Crobat. But it's like kind of... Kangaskhan's too inconsistent. Kangaskhan's too inconsistent. It doesn't feel good to play. So it's like very okay. Good, can streak 10 and also lose 10. Banette Mewtwo is C. Elima is a cope card. Like maybe. I just went 1-2 drop. I didn't want to play anymore. I was playing Araquanid. Isn't all the decks can lose 10? No. So when I think of good... Okay, you know what? The best deck that defines B tier... I'm going to say it right now. B tier is Charizard Turt. This is the deck I think of when I think of can win 10, can also lose 10. This is B. No, it's not. It should not be an A tier. This is a B tier ass deck. I went on a 12 win streak. I even have a video about it. This deck does not feel good to play. This deck can, just as good as it can streak 10 on like a good day, it loses 10 just as easily. In fact, even when I hit top 100, top 1000, it like, I fell like immediately after using this, making fair tier list to farm scrubs and Saturday's time. No, so the intention of this tier list is that if you're still struggling to find a deck for that 10K tournament, this can at least help you, right? This can at least, you know, make you have direction. This is also mostly, obviously, is geared towards rank, but like, still, I think this is still kind of important. Palkia and this, it has a good win rate on, it has a really good win rate on Limitless, but very low play rate. So I think it's like slightly better than YouTube content, but that's as far as I'm willing to go, right? That's as far as I'm willing to go. That's all I'll say about it. I think like it just, the issue is Crabominable sucks. If you get like Sabrina or if you get like removed, you just lose your plus 40, plus 80 damage, right? It has to be that card specifically. It's just like you're playing on Misty, and if you want to play a Misty deck in 2025, in the big 25, do it, right? I think that like when we look at the deck here, it's like, oh, it's 52% win rate for the limited play. It's really not that good. It hasn't done really anything at an Ursi Day. It's done good at Froggy X tournaments, which is cool, but those are like still smaller. I don't think that this deck, you know, is all that. I think it's okay. I think that like, yeah, having a 52% win rate is cute, but the usage rate is low, and also it loses to like the best deck in the game. It loses to the best decks in the game. Like, what are you doing? If you're using this tournament if you're using this in a 10K tournament, refund your 10K. Refund your entry. Luckily, it's a free entry, so you don't have to refund anything. But that's like my immediate thought. People are like, oh, but look, this is the same thing that happened with freaking I don't know, the Pokemon that heals in Meowscarada, and I had to tell you guys that Pokemon's ass, and I still have people swear by. You want to know what's a real win rate deck? Darkrai being at 56% and having like 730. Like, that's insane. That's a tier 1 deck. I can spoil that, right? I'm just gonna I'm gonna put Darkrai there, right? Like, so we can get Darkrai out of the way. I don't want to talk about Darkrai, Tina. This is the best deck. This is one of the best decks. This is the best tournament deck, easily. The best tournament deck. I'm gonna say something controversial. This is not the best deck in ranked. This is not the best deck in ranked, but it is one of the easier decks to climb with, and is one of the best decks for tournament play, right? This is the best tournament deck you can use if you want to just consistently make top cuts. This is not the best deck for ranked, because there's too many random shit you lose to. And I see people checking in Kamala. I think Kamala is really good, but it feels awful to use Kamala in ranked, whereas this is a top tier deck. I've talked about this way too many times. Really good deck, but not the best ranked deck, but really good. Like, it just has everything. It's still the same. The meta is just faster. It has matchups where you just ought accept that you're losing. My advice about Kamala, genuinely my advice about Kamala is that if you're playing a ranked day and Oricorio is dropped low in usage, just drop Kamala and accept when you lose your 1 in 10 to Oricorio. And sometimes that 1 in 10 to Oricorio you might win. That's my biggest advice for Darktina players right now. I think that Kamala is cool. It feels awful to get in like every other matchup. So yeah, that's my thought. Easiest deck to climb it. I just think use pure Darktina. In tournament play, consider Kamala. But if it's not tournament play, just drop the Kamala, man. Put the Kamala in the bag. Another deck that I feel is actually falling off. I've talked about it. It is Greninja Giratina Snorlax. I think that this deck has fallen off so hard. I think it has fallen off so hard. Because of the emergence of decks like Lele, because of the emergence of Darkrai Tina still being extremely good into this. But yeah, it just fell off. It has so many, like, kind of, Tapu Tina farms it. Yeah, basically, Snorlax replaced by Kamala. No, that's not what happened. It's still good into Oricorio decks, but it feels really bad. It has a really tough matchup into Garchomp Rampardos as well. So I feel like, and this is why I waited to make my tier list. I waited to make my tier list because I felt like there's a lot of misinformation on what's good and what's bad, right? There's a lot of misinformation. If I made my tier list like a week or two ago, I would have put it over here. But the meta has adapted to the point where this is like here. Why doesn't anyone run Drampa? It's inconsistent. You're relying on, it's good in ranked, I guess, but in tournament play, if I read that you have Drampa, I'm just not going to attack until I get rid of the Drampa. It's that easy. Like, it's like Drempa's easy to play against. Kamala's not. That's exactly why. Drempa has like a very obvious drawback. So that's why people do that. Kamala still feels not that great. It's easy to get Kamala stuck in active. I had a game this morning where I got Sabrina'd into Kamala and I couldn't retreat it because I attached and then I couldn't. But yeah, I'm not calling it the Thanos deck. We're gonna get to that deck. B-Drill. So there is a guy. I think that this deck is YouTube content. It's good in tournament, I think, but I think in ranked, I would not play this deck. I would not play this deck YouTube content. Ask me more about my opinions about it later if you pay me. Otherwise, no. Not talking about it. Next, Solgaleo Excadrill is... So I talked about it. Week 1, it was okay. Right? Week 1, I would have put it here. But unfortunately, it is now YouTube content. And the reason is that the matchups that it helps you in doesn't help, and it doesn't provide you a real niche like what we'll talk about that isn't on this tier list yet. The Clown Fiestas, thank you for the follow. If you can make it Frey, if you can put Solgaleo Escavalier on, I'll talk about it. But Solgaleo Escavalier is what I would rather use right now. So what I would rather use, and what I'd rather do is thank Gold Sam OG for the sub. Thank you very much. Let's talk about Solgaleo Skarmory. I think this is it's a good deck. I think it is a good deck. It has its days. As the meta got more open, more decks started folding to Solgaleo. I have a win streak. I went like 5 wins on it the other day. So really good deck. Really, really good. I like it a lot. I think Solgaleo, Skarm, and Escavalier is about the same. I think Solgaleo Skarm is a little bit better than that. Because you can't okay, join the resistance. The important thing that right now that Skarmory has is speed. You cannot donk a Sprigatito or any 60 HP guys with Escavalier. You have to like the combo is a lot easier to do on Skarm because you can do the combo throw in second, right? By the time you pass going second, they have already evolved. So because of that, Skarm, this is like feels way better than right here. So that's my current big thought there. They're 2 tiers apart. Yes, one is YouTube content, and I think that that's the difference. The difference of being able to automatically attack that's real. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to use Soul Skarm right now in the meta. The reason you're using it is because you're preying on Tapu Lele decks, right? And you're also trying to smork people down. And I think that, yeah, Skarm still puts decent pressure, puts them on a clock. DMD Escavalier, yes. So Escavalier, and this is why it's 2 tiers apart, right? It's 2 tiers apart because there is another deck that I haven't talked about that I'm about to include. Let's not put that in my graphic design as my passion. Yeah, also big shout out to Frey. Can we get a shout out to Frey on how like they did all of this. Like they got all these pictures for us. So like major shout out. And now we have this. So I think Escavalier's can you also add Snorlax? Because that's another YouTube one. Snorlax Solgaleo. Because I'm going to say mean things about that later. But this is great. Solgaleo Escav is also really good, but it also does something different. Escavalier deals damage to the back. Right? Dealing damage to the back is huge. And that is why I think that it's a firmly like C tier because it's a Cyrusable. Cyrus is one of the best cards in the meta right now. Like it's not even comparable how damn good Cyrus is. I don't see any Togekiss decks. I guess Togekiss is just that bad. YouTube content. Togekiss is great YouTube content. Your favorite YouTuber will make an amazing video about it. Not me, because I would not use it in ranked. But it's great YouTube content. Speaking of other YouTube content decks, Shout out Rampardos, our Aerodactyl, did good recently in tournament. And I thought that was really cool and I wanted to highlight it. But I think that shout out Fossil decks are too red cardable. They're too red cardable, and if you're playing it in tournament, like you know what the best thing I can say about shout out? I had a coaching session yesterday. I coached a Pocket player. They were in Ultra Ball 3. The first deck we played was Solgaleo Rampardos. Oh, not Solgaleo. It was shout out Rampardos. So that is my opinion on shout out. Literally the first match we booted up in Ultra Ball 3 was shout out Rampardos. So that is YouTube content. You're not going to see that in Master Ball, at least top Master Ball. So that is another deck that I think has fallen off is Rampardos Lycanroc, right? This is why, like I said, I didn't want to make a tier list. I didn't want to jump the gun and make tier list videos, right? Because there was so many thoughts that I needed to, you know, have in my head. Rampardos Lycanroc, really good week 1, has fallen off really hard because they're just other better fighting decks, right? It's still good. It's okay. I wouldn't recommend using it in like the top Rascalons of Master Ball, but it still has a good matchup into Oricorio. Still has a good matchup into, still like it's blown by Darkrai, right? And that's like the issue. But it has its time. It's very easy to heal through as well. But the Mars red card meta is just really unkind. We'll like order them later. A deck that I actually think is better than the Palkia stuff is a Crabominable Greninja, because I think Greninja is just better than Palkia. Period. And I think that Greninja leads to playing able to play Cyrus better. So this is a good deck. It is still just okay though. If you could, I would not be surprised if someone played this deck though and made it like a high streak. So I think this is like a streaker deck. Also, I think the decks in OK aren't bad. Can I just say that? I think the decks in OK aren't bad. Heck, I think some of the decks in YouTube content are not bad for tournament play, right? But they're just not decks I'd recommend. Speaking of decks, Charizard Instant is also in the same kind of boat. I think it's like slightly worse than Charizard Turt, depending on the day. But then depending on the day, Charizard Instant's broken. What are your thoughts on 7 base? Yeah, I'll talk about that, Kai. Please. I can talk about that in a moment, actually. Charizard Incineroar and Charizard Tornado are both about the same power level. The reason you would use Charizard Incineroar is because you want that rare candy consistency, because you're already playing 2 rare candies. So a Litten and Incineroar take less cards than Charizard Turt. But it really just depends on the day. It doesn't feel like, I'm going to be real. I think playing Charizard decks in this meta do not feel as fun as playing Charizard decks in the metas prior. It just feels so And the worst of the Charizard decks is Solozard, which I think is just okay. It's the same shit. Honestly, they're all just, I would put it, they're just the same shit. Like, you wake up one day, you win 10 games, just as easily as you lose 10 games. But this one's easily the worst. This is easily the worst deck that you can use to climb. Actually, I'm putting it here, bro. This is just, it's like the best okay deck. You see Oricorio, you click forfeit, right? Okay. These at least have a matchup into Oricorio. This one doesn't. Incineroar is like also here, but Incineroar has Rocky Helmet. So I think Incineroar is like slightly better than Solozard. Because you're playing Rocky Helmets and Torracats. So you can actually have a matchup into Oricorio. What about Babyzard? I mean, in this deck, you're just like, it just takes too long. Yeah, it takes too long. You need to attach 4 energy, attack, and then they're gonna have another Oricorio, right? And like you're gonna get pinged. That's just a different deck at that point. You're playing Moltres if you're playing that type of version. So like Babyzard, no, Babyzard doesn't. You don't even get to like. How the hell do you get 4 energies attached onto it to take out 2 Oricorios? That's 6 energy. Let's talk about Meowscarada. There's a bunch of Meowscarada variants here. So I'm going to just put the best Meowscarada variant at the top. Right here. This is Meowscarada's cap. I think it is a top deck. It is one of the best decks that you can be using to climb right now. Like, it is one of the best decks. It is currently being spammed a lot. I think that it just does so good into everything. The issue is space. Meow should be S tier. Like I said, I waited one Sky. I waited purposely to not be reactionary. Meowscarada is A tier. I think it's really, really good. However, it's really good in tournament. In fact, if you're going into tournament, I would consider this deck. It's really good on ranked right now because it doesn't really have a bad matchup. It doesn't insta-lose Charizard. That's false. You playing red. Remember, it's a red card meta. It's a red card meta. Like, so many goofy shit can happen. I'd play this if I had, yeah, this we're talking, oh, if you had it, yeah. I think if this Decidueye Meowscarada is so good, it's a deck that I call being really good, right? It's one of the first decks I used to climb. Do you play Dartrix? Maybe. Depends on your version and what you're feeling. You can, if you don't feel like you need more supporters. I feel like I need more supporters, so I play it without Dartrix, but Dartrix is good consistency. So it's really hard. It's consistency versus tech. That's the situation that you have to have. I'm not going to tell you which one's better. You're going to figure out what's better for yourself. There's a version of going around with 4 healing. I think that's cap. Do not play the 4 healing version. But the 3 healing version, like Erica, Lily, I think I like. I hate Erica, Lily. That's just too much sauce. I just hit Dartrix with number. That's fine, Kai Pocket. I think that works. 1 cape Dartrix. It's just all you're doing is you're eating into your thingy. Dartrix Greninja is YouTube content. That's my real thought of Dartrix Greninja. That's YouTube. Do the decks play 2 Decidueye? No, it's 1 Decidueye. If you're talking about a deck that plays, and this is a deck that did good early format, I'm gonna put it here. It's only okay to me now. It's Decidueye and the Leaf Girl that kicks for 20. Leaveney? I think is its name. Yeah, this is okay. Lurantis. Oh. Oops. Anyway, my thoughts on this deck is that it's just okay, man. It's just okay. Like you're dealing 20 to set up, but your max damage is 100. Your max damage is 100, and that's just so low. Whereas Meowscarada is able to deal 130s, deal 60 onto nons. The sort of 1/1/2 is a lot weaker in this deck. However, it is very strong at playing against slower decks, especially if there's no more Solgaleo everywhere, right? So like it's okay. I wouldn't recommend it, but like it's okay. So yeah, 2 Decidueye just isn't. Decidueye is a good closer, not a good ender. In the same vein, Meowscarada Sarina, I think is also just okay. I think that Sarina is great. It solves a problem that Meowscarada used to have in that it didn't have a good turn 1 attacker. However, with that said, it's an inconsistent turn 1 attacker. And that is not something I can recommend in good conscience. I literally talked about how I hate Kangaskhan versions of this deck. And so for me to tell you to run a, Sarina Meowscarada version is just no. It's just no. Yeah, Dark Decidueye, that's YouTube content. Speaking of YouTube content, this is a deck I get told to play often. And I'm sorry, it is YouTube content. I think Lunala Giratina is, with most Psychic decks, not good. I think Lunala is too slow. The deck folds to all the Oricorio stuff. And it doesn't do enough. It needs more support. We'll get the more support probably in the next expansion. But until then, save your Lunalas. Save your General C follows. It is Prime Exodia. That's how it is. If Carnivine is Exodia, this is like Prime Exodia. This is my opinion on this. That said, an option that I still think is okay, I don't think it's as good anymore, But it is okay. You can streak with it just as easily as you can lose with it. Meowscarada Beedrill. I think it still has what it has. I think Beedrill is still cheesy. You know, Team Rocket Grunt plus Beedrill can steal games, but it's just okay. I think it's just better than the other two versions. I love Lunala. I just think it's not good right now. And that's okay. That's okay, chat. It's okay to like something, and you know, when you love it, let it go, because it'll come back to you, right? And it's going to come back in another expansion. That's just kind of how you have to look at it. All right. So we're getting a lot of the YouTube content decks. Also, Wishy Washy. That's the biggest YouTube content deck. It has the same problem as every other freaking YouTube content deck, except it's bigger YouTube content. And sometimes it does good in tournament, and I don't understand it. But, like, it's never going to win a tournament. It's never going to, like, peak high. And you will lose more often than you win. Shout out Tiger75 for the follow. So that's where I'm at. And I think we're pretty much weeding out all the bad decks. So I think that's pretty good. Gallade Rampardos is also YouTube content. It's funny because those two guys were on the thumbnail of my last tier list video, right? And now they're both YouTube content, literally. I think Rampardos is not YouTube content. Rampardos is pretty broken. Which actually, Frey, I need you to make a Lucario Rampardos. Yeah, Luke Ramp isn't on the list. So we're going to have to add that. But this is just firmly YouTube content. I almost believed the friend. He made a deck list, and I played it, lost 2, and was like, this shit sucks. Never again. What about Mewtwo Gardevoir? Make a Mewtwo Gardevoir too, because that's what we're talking about. I think it's okay. I think it's the best if you want to run like a deck like that. But let's talk about the best fighting deck. Garchomp Rampardos. It is a really strong deck. It is a really, really, really strong deck. It is fast, but it is kind of where it's at. That's kind of it. Like it's fast. It has really strong Luxac potential. Its Luxac isn't as high as the other decks. And it does have like kind of awkward matchups into non-Oricorio decks, right? I think that like it doesn't have great matchups into specifically Darktina, into Meowscarada variants, right? But it does do good into stuff like Tapu Lele, into Oricorio, a lot of the other stuff in the meta, right? It can bully Charizards if you need to. Can you please show the best version of each S-tier deck after? Yeah, sure. I can actually do that. I will do that. So stay tuned. I guess YouTube you can look at after. I'm going to do SNA. I'm very strict on my S-tier, I should mention. But yeah. This one, the next deck, I'm kind of having a hard time placing it. The next deck is Carnivine Crobat Arceus. I think it's like right here or right here. Right, that's where I'm at. Also, more on just before I end on the Garchomp Rampardos. It's just good. The deck is just good. It's consistent. It wins its really strong matchups. It can Luxac its bad matchups. It's kind of the epitome of the rare candy meta. So here's my problem with Carnivine. Because in tournament, and I said this on stream, or I might have said this in the meta recap. If 10 players bring Arceus, Crobat... Actually, I said this about Charizard. It's the same thing. If 10 players bring Crobat Arc to a tournament, one person can potentially win the tournament. Most of them will finish like X3, and a few more will cut. Because, like, it's such a stupid deck. Like, if you draw Exodia, you're just going to win. It's also a consistent deck. It's like, the biggest weakness is your bricks. You are going to brick, but you don't brick enough to lose a lot, right? Because the deck can still play through it. It's super consistent. It's really strong. The issue is, like, Arceus starts, right? Arceus starts, like, I don't think it has a bad matchup. Legitimately, if you open up good, I think that you can play through every matchup in the game. but I do think it's very brickable. I do think you do brick. I think that the deck barely has bad matchups, but you brick like a motherfucker. It is easily the most brickiest deck in the top. Besides like Meowscarada Decision. Oh, Meowscarada Decision is not bricky. Exodia's like worst enemy is itself. And the fact that another deck we'll talk about is really, really good. Yeah. Oh, Frey, did you end up making the Lucario thingy? Oh, you did. Oh my god, you're so goated. I can save this image. You already did. You're on top of it. Is Togekiss YouTube content? Yes, YouTube content. Pay me to talk about it. Pay me to add it to... That's exactly where it is. It's firmly YouTubio contentito. Okay. So I've added 2 more decks. Mewtwo Guardy, YouTube content, but it's the best YouTube content version. So I'm going to put it as the best YouTube content deck. This is B-tier. This is a good deck. A lot of Japanese players, you don't... Okay, here's the thing about Lucario Rampardos. And I learned this. You will not see it from Master Ball 1450 to like 1700s. But the moment that you're in the like high 1700s, 1800, this deck starts popping up everywhere. And it's obviously a pretty direct response to Magnezone, like to the Electrics, to the Oricorio decks. It's just still good. It's extremely good. It's just less consistent than the Garchomp version. But your wins are even further favored, but your losses are even further like loss. Is my thought. Did I miss the? No, we're gonna get to that. So this deck is firmly in good, but it is specifically used at the highest tier, and it's frequently not found anywhere else. Maybe an Ultra Ball. It's like an Ultra Ball in highest, like top 1000, top 100 tier. Otherwise, you're not going to see it. What phrase am I saying, Kizaru? Not a single mana feed. Togekiss is S tier. Ding. All right. Back to reality, right? I obviously talked about this deck. There's another Darkrai deck. There's another Arceus deck. Some people call it Thanos. I think that name sucks. Get better naming conventions because it doesn't make sense when you're looking at it. But it is Crobat Darktina. I think this is a firmly an A tier deck. I think this deck is too consistent to like lose 10 in a row. But it is just a consistent deck. It doesn't have like a pop-off moment. It's just consistent. Thoughts on dual energy Crobat Carnivine? Like I guess, but then your Exodia moments are like kind of Luxacky. I got top 5,000, trying to climb to top 1,000. Should I stick with it, or there's no such thing as too hard for Darktina to climb? It's just how willing are you to play Darktina? But yeah, so Arceus Crobat. This is a deck that went 8-0 last week, and it's kind of still like underexplored. It's a top deck. It is a top tier deck. There's a Discord viewer, a user that is like really been climbing on it. Keitsu's been climbing on it a lot. We're gonna see how this might be my hottest take then, I guess, because it's the only deck that is gonna be like lukewarm. But it is firmly A. I think it's maybe like it's on the same power level of all these decks. Its issue, just like other Darkrai decks, is its bricks, right? I mean, not Darkrai, other Carney decks. It bricks, but it plays a longer con. Darkrai Crobat Giratina or Darkrai Crobat Arceus is 170 damage. So, yes. Why is Charizard in Certain B and not A or beyond? Because it's exactly what good is. It can streak 10, it can also lose 10. All Charizard decks play the same. That's kind of it. All Charizard decks play the same. If you can say that Charizard is better than any of the deck in top deck, and you can make a good argument, I'll believe you. I don't think so, though. I don't think you can make a good enough argument. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Speaking of decks that I think... let's get to the... We have a bunch of Oricorios now. I got scammed now, the PvP. I did raise a lot of channel point stuff. I'm going to change things around because I do viewer battle days. So I'm like, I don't want to like interrupt my rank to do the viewer battle. But yeah. Speaking of things, we're on the Oricorio tower. I think the best deck in OK is going to be Magnezone Oricorio. I think this deck is the best deck in OK. I think it is the biggest matchup fishing deck of all the Oricorios. And that's what makes it just okay. It could probably be good, I guess. But I think it's the worst Oricorio version that you can use. And if you're using this when there are other Oricorio versions, I'm just confused. I think that it like does what it does good, and that's it. It doesn't do anything else. It beats the decks it's supposed to beat, and it does not have the closing potential that all the other decks have. It doesn't have the healing potential like the other decks have, right? Because Electric doesn't have good healing. And so it's the worst Oricorio version, easily. The next deck, you have not checked in. Oh, I thought I dropped from the tournament. My fault. I will drop from the tournament after. But thank you for reminding me. Am I wrong, or is the top way more points than the last season? You're not wrong. The reason why it's way more points is kind of simple. It is more... no, you're good. GG's. The reason why it is because you started higher. You started at a higher point, so it's not that many more points to climb. So it's going to be always higher now. But no, anyway, back to the main decks. Oricorio, Greninja, it's either here or here for me. It's an A or S tier deck. But it is a top deck. That's where I feel about it. So that's kind of where I'm at. How's the rank 1 player Matt Chaya? Because he got a good win streak. So that's where I'm gonna at. What does chat feel? It feels like I think it feels like an S on both. I think Oricorio, okay, this is an S tier deck. I think that this deck is too consistent. You just can play through almost everything. However, it is getting a lot weaker. In fact, I think that Oricorio Greninja Tina has gotten a lot of hate recently, right? It just kind of gets farmed by Meowscarada Decks. It has a rough time still into the Rampardos variants. The Darkrai Crobat version can still play through it. The Carney version can still burn through it. I think that it is currently the weakest of the main decks, and I can see it an A at worst. However, it is still extremely consistent at what it does. It can brick energy. That feels awful, right? Bricking energy is the worst thing that you can do with this deck. And because of that, I just can't like give it more than... I think it is a top 3 deck. I do think it's a top 3 deck. That I should be clear about. It is a top 3 deck. I just don't know if it's like the easiest deck to climb with. I think it's easy to climb with at lower ranks, but it gets pretty hard countered the higher you go. The higher you go, the easier it is to counter. And I think this is the final deck. The final deck for us to talk about is Gira, Tina, Greninja, Lele, and I'm going to say that not only is this one of the easiest decks to climb with, it is also the best deck to use in tournament. And you might ask why. Let me explain myself. Currently, in Ursi Day tournaments, you do not have to announce your energies. Therefore, in that $10,000 tournament, because you do not have to announce your energies, you can switch water energy on for your bad matchups. And that is broken. That is unfair. That is stupid. That is something that I hope eventually gets changed. And I hope that Ursi eventually starts changing that. But until then, Giratina Lele is the best tournament deck you can use. It's not even sneaky. MST did it on stream, right? Like MST switched to Water Energy for Solgaleo. It is very much like, yeah, like Toby also, right? Turned the water on, top 8'd. I think that it is the most sneaky deck. Would you usually run Psychic Energy for most matchups, but like certain matchups you'll switch to water. Do you think dual energy or single psychic by default? It depends on what you're playing against, Eternal. I'm default psychic, but it really just depends on what matchups I'm getting. But yeah, what matchups are better? Charizard is better. Solgaleo is better because you can like properly attack with Greninja in that, so you can properly 1/1-2 them. How about the Darktina plus? Oh, Darktina Greninja. That's the last deck I should talk about. Frey, can you make the Darktina Greninja? That's the only deck that's not on this list that deserves. Would you run dual Psychic Water or Soul? You would run dual. Depends on the matchup. Depends on the vibes. I don't have a full guide on what you should do. I think if you watch MST's run, you can kind of get a better idea of when you're switching Psychic and Water. I think that's stupid though. I think it shouldn't be fair. And also on ranked, it's also just good. On ranked, it is still extremely good. You like Alolan Raichu plus Oricorio? That's YouTube content. Is my biggest thought. So this is my tier list. We're gonna obviously talk about Darkrai, Gren, and then I'm gonna show you guys a few decks. How come very few top ranked players play Darktina? What? Someone peaked rank 1 with Kamala. Someone hit rank 1 with Kamala. It's so random, but on ranked, the skill is figuring out what deck to use. Legitimately, unless you're using one of the top decks and above, the skill in ranked is kind of figuring out what the best deck to use is. Genuinely. And one is UU is still rank 1. Yeah, Darktina is rank 1. Not only are they rank 1, they have such a, like, that is like a legitimate rank 1 to me. Because they have like such a low play rate as well. Do you have a recent stream where you used Tina Gren? I did when it first came out. I would have loved to show you guys my tournament run with it. But, is there a way to figure out your matchups? I'm being serious. You can know based off, especially, at least in top ladder. Actually, even not in top ladder. In Ultra Ball, there's a lot of fighting decks. So the person I coached, I gave them Lele Garantina, and then I gave them Darkrai Tina. And like I taught them the lines of the fighting. And just told them to switch between those. Based off what decks you're seeing. The higher you go on ranked, the more homogenized the decks become. If someone hits rank 1 with a deck, it's on Twitter, it's going the next day, there's going to be a lot of people using that deck. And it's very easy to, like, if you're paying attention to the trends, to start covering it. Like right now, the biggest trend I just said is that Oricorio Greninja is lower, right? And that's why Darkrai Tina is so up right now. Obviously, that means Oricorio is probably going to come back in some facet. But these are kind of how it is. It is just like the idea of it. It is one bird, two meow. Okay, finally, Darkrai Greninja. I think it's a side grade, but it's not. I think it's better in tournament than it is in ranked. I think that Darkrai Greninja, Darktina Greninja is like right there. It's still good. It can pop off. It's very consistent still, but it is a side grade. It is not. It is like, it's like a side grade to a downgrade. It is not. I think it's much better in tournament when you can like see all your opponent's options and you can afford losses, but it like lowers the consistency by a lot of the deck. You're running 5 cards. Bruh, Arceus, Quebec, Carney isn't even top 3. I mean, it's a top deck. It's like pretty close to a top 3. Like, I can see arguments for something like this. But I think that's fine. Yeah, this is my current tier list. MR Slap to you. Thank you for the follow. What we'll do next is we will talk about the different decks that you can do. Is there a deck that's best against the S tier decks? Let's think about it. So against Giratina Lele stuff, I do like Meowscarada Decidueye. I guess Meowscarada Decidueye, yeah. Meow Decidueye is the best deck against all of the top guys. Though Meowscarada Decidueye has a deceptive matchup into Darktina, because the deck Darktina tend to run Mars and red card, and they tend to get Mars and red carded a lot. But yeah, Meow is probably the best deck into the top 3. Why is Gallade not being used as often? Most decks are low energy decks now. That's mostly why. And it's easy to play around. And its damage is really low. It's lower than the Raichu stuff, right? Raichu scales faster. But yeah. Also, this isn't even like if a deck is the 4th best deck in like, look how many decks I tiered. Like, let's count up how many decks I just tiered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? 9, 10, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Like, that's like 20 plus decks. That's 20 plus decks tiered. A deck that's number 4? Like, what are we complaining about? That's a good ass deck. That's a top deck. Did you talk about Arceus Crobat? Yes. Arceus Crobat Darktina is right there. I'll grab it so you can see me move it. It's this deck. It's a firm top tier deck. Maybe we can compare it to last meta. Maybe, yeah. So let me look at last meta, because you know, I think that there's like a pretty dude, a dashing dude who makes YouTube content. You know, and I think he made a video. About the tiers, right? Okay, so look at how different this tier list is. This tier list compared to this. Can we talk about? Yeah, we will. This dude looks oddly familiar. True. First place didn't change. I mean, it technically did. What type of Darktina deck are you using right now? Are you asking me what deck I'd be using for ranked or for tournament? Because those are two different answers. For ranked, I would probably be playing just a strong Giratina Darkrai version. But for tournament, I would probably consider Nosfier's version. I think this is a good version for tournament. I think it's good for ranked as well. I would just probably drop a Mars for red card. But yeah, this is an okay deck. I think that this is an okay deck. It has some cool stuff. How does Gira, Gren, Lele run into Oricorio? They're pretty even. But yeah, this is a good deck. Otherwise, like, I would take a version like Hana. I think Hana builds really good Darktina decks. Alright, and this build is just like kind of consistent, has a lot of cards, has the red card, has the Mars, you know, has the PCL, has a double potion. It's just a really good list. It dropped a Darkrai. It didn't drop a Darkrai, my hands dropped a Darkrai. Bam. At break, is rank going to be an ongoing thing from here on out? Yeah. So that is my thoughts on Darkrai decks. For Lele, there's two versions to run Lele. There's two ways that I would run Lele. And it is the MST version and Toby. And of course, you can do whatever you want, man. Like, there's so many different ways to build. So this one is what MST used to win the tournament. It's just good. Why would you build tourney decks different from ranked? Because you're allowed to lose games, and you need to win the tournament, right? So I think Kamala, like you're allowed to break a Kamala more often. It's more condensed, yeah. What Siblia says. So yeah. Actually, like the one red card, one Mars version. Yeah, same. I like one red card, one Mars for Kamala, for all Darktina decks. All Darktina decks going forward, add a Mars, add a Tina. I mean, add a red card. You think Lele Team Ninja has better? Yes, I do. That's why I've ranked it higher. But yeah, this is basically the Lele deck that you can run, or you run, like, I think Toby's list is also really good. As well. This is the list I was also gonna end up using, so like we both knew game. Got hit rank 1, right, and was using the X speed version. Basically, honestly, like I'm not gonna say what's the most optimal deck. I think that's stupid. You guys, it's a freaking 20 card game deck. You guys can make the deck, right? Like here, you just add 2 of your favorite cards to this deck. Add 2 of your favorite cards to this deck, and that's all you need to do, man. Like making optimal deck. Just add 2 cards to this deck and figure out what 2 cards you want, and you've made a good deck. Double grunt, sure, right? Like I think that like trying to present an optimal deck for each deck is silly, because like you can just like they're 20 card decks. It's really hard to mess them up. You have to try to mess them up. And for Oricorio Greninja, right? Oh, this is Oricorio Snorlax. This is not the Oricorio Greninja. Where's the Oricorio? That deck is broken. Let me go back to decks. I guess it has its own. This deck is really good. Like I said, I think it's one of the best decks that you can be using. You either run the one with Shaman, or you run the one without Shaman. Regardless of power level, what is your favorite deck to play? I have the most fun probably playing. I think Oricorio Greninja is probably the most fun I've had. But it's also because like I like the amount of decisions you can make with the deck. I just like making decisions. The most fun deck I've ever had played though was Lieutenant Surge Raichu. That was the most fun I've ever had playing, because it was like a combo. I love combo decks. I don't think we had another combo deck like that plays with energy like Lieutenant Surge. So until we have another card like we have Lunala, but Lunala's not good enough yet. So until Lunala is good, have you tried Luxray? Yeah, it's not that great, unfortunately. But yeah, this is just the best version, right? Again, how will you make it your own? Just remove a frog, figure out what you want to do. But yeah, probably one of the best ways to run. And then there's probably another good version here somewhere. Yeah, this is the one from the week following week, and this one also basically running the same thing, right? They just, instead of running a Frogadier, they ran an extra card, right? Like it's that easy. I'm 2-2. Go. Can we get can we give P-Dub some energy? Can we give P-Dub some energy? Oh, I dropped out. I've been dropped out. I've been making a tier list. Okay. Arceus Crobat. Yeah, this is like basically like one version. Like I don't even feel like I need to show you guys the version. You're just gonna run the cards, right? The cards that run the cards. We're gonna open this in Deck Builder. I was just playing a Raquanid stuff. So this is just like, yeah, like the decisions you have is, do you want to run Golbat? Yes or no. Do you want to run Cyrus? Yes or no. Mars? Yes or no, right? Like I think that that's the decisions that this deck runs into. The deck, regardless of what decisions you make, you're gonna brick. You're gonna start Arceus front and like no freaking Carnivines. You're gonna start Carnivines, no Arceus. That's, like I said, that's this deck's biggest problem. But yeah, I think what other top decks? Garchomp, Rampardos. It's just this deck it builds itself again, right? I think Azelma did really good. But like it just builds itself. You're running the 2-1-2 of both lines. Are you running 2 lilies? Yes or no? You might be able to run 1 lily. That's kind of the thought. Is there any other top tier decks? The Meow, you can just go on like Seagun or like Watch. It's just Meow with double Lily. As you can see, I'm getting lazy at this part of like showing you guys decks because like there's no such thing as optimal decks yet when 20 card games. It's just bring the right deck for what you're expecting. And then Darktina, there's only one version of that deck, the Darktina guy, and we're gonna to find it. You have to freaking go to like the last Pocket Weekly, and then we're gonna go to standings, and it's the guy who dropped out after going 8-0. So they're 32nd, 33rd. This is a good deck. The cards that are replaceable are Guzma, Center Lady, and Dawn. So like figure it out. And yeah, no, that's it. That is it for this video. And your Darkrai Greninja, like I don't need to just replace supporters to add Greninja, right? Do I have to explain Darkrai Gren, how to play Darkrai Gren? I don't think I have to. Just play like replace supporters with the Gren Rare Candy line. What supporter? Add Double Cyrus. Double Cyrus is good in those decks. Alright, with that said, this is where the YouTube video will end. We'll play a little bit more ranked and, you know, suck toes. Bye-bye.